Hi, it's Andrea from WellAndrea, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about the best exercise program for you. I have been seeing a lot of posts and messages and videos and other things on social media about the best workout and what you need to do to age well, what you need to do um, in menopause, um, for longevity, for whatever it is. And oftentimes these messages are very forceful, and they tell you, you have to be able to do a certain number of exercises or lift a certain percentage of your body weight or whatever. And, many of these have some value to it, and there is oftentimes some research behind it, but I do think that the messaging itself is not all that helpful, because oftentimes that messaging is also accompanied by the statement, well, some movement is better than none. And honestly, when I hear that, I sort of think, well, it sounds like it's actually not very helpful at all. And that is really not true. Because I do think that one thing that is really important is that we have a consistent movement habit, and over our lifetime, that movement habit will change, right? We will add to it, we'll subtract from it. There may be times when we are injured or sick. And so I think, movement is always a good thing, and it's cumulative. It's going to add up, and it is never a waste of time. And I do think we need that message more often, and we do not have that message really often enough. And I also think that there is a great variety of movement that can be helpful. And again, that is something else I think that we are not told enough. So oftentimes it's, you have to lift heavy weights, and if you don't lift heavy weights, then you're doomed. And there is definitely something to be said for lifting weights, and definitely also lifting within a couple reps of failure. So that is really important. And yes, if you want to build strength, it is beneficial to lift heavier for you. At the same time, I think what is important to remember that we are all in different places, and so again, this may change throughout our life, and I don't think it is a good idea to discount certain exercises and say that they are, less than, and then we shouldn't do them. I have done all sorts of exercises in my life, and one thing I can say is I have always been active. So for the past 50 plus years, I have been active, and I think none of this was wasted, okay? Sure, if I look back at my life, are there certain things that I could have been doing a little bit differently? Sure, absolutely. I could have, for example, lifted weights more intentionally. For some of the years, I've always lifted some weights. I've always been sort of dabbled a little bit in the weight room, even at a time when there weren't that many women in the weight room, but I didn't really follow a specific plan, and I didn't really think that it was as important maybe as I think it is now. But everything else I did has helped me, first of all, to be consistent, and it definitely has built, it has been beneficial for my bones, it has been beneficial for my muscles, for my mobility, for flexibility, for stability, for all of that. And I think that is important. And, when we have a foundation, a strong movement foundation, whatever that movement may be, I think it is much, much easier to add to that foundation, right? You have the foundation, you build the house on top. And I think it is wrong to tell people that that foundation is useless because they're not building the fancy addition, right? And so I also think that, they accomplish the same thing. There are different elements that we can do. And I sometimes compare that a little bit to a diet. And by diet, I mean just what we eat. And so when my children were little, I always, of course, they had to eat fruits and vegetables. But I always had the philosophy that I would have options available for them. They knew that they had to eat fruits and vegetables, but they got to choose. So, so I would have always a salad, and I would have like 2 vegetable dishes, and they had to eat at least one of them. Of course, I manipulated a little bit what was available, and I made it a little bit different. So, it wasn't always the salad, wasn't always romaine lettuce. Sometimes it may be a tomato salad. Sometimes it may be a cucumber salad, right? But it was always, they had a choice, and it was never an issue. And many times they chose a little bit of all 3, right? Sometimes they chose only one if they wanted to, and that was okay too. And I think it is very similar with exercise. And I think also with exercise, like, we go through phases, right, where we maybe focus more on one than the other. And so I just wanted to say, I don't really like the phrase something is better than nothing, because something is a lot better than nothing. I think building that strong foundation really counts. Focus on strength training. Yes, absolutely. We want to build muscle. We want to build strength. And then we want to build our cardiovascular system. We want to work on mobility, stability, flexibility, all of it. But let's celebrate what we're doing. And if we feel like we need to add to it, sure, let's add to it. But something is awesome. All right, have a great day and keep moving.